man is charged with murder this week after police say confessed to fatally shooting another man in Whitehall, Ohio. The incident occurred just after midnight on the 7th of October, when the authorities responded to a duplex home along the 4000 block of Beachbank Road on reports of a shooting. When officers entered the residence, they found 41-year-old Sean Vaughan dead with multiple gunshot wounds. The authorities located 29-year-old Michael Armand in the front yard, who police say admitted to shooting Sean, and detectives recovered a firearm at the scene. Police said that Sean and Michael both lived at the home with other family and friends. The motive of the attack is unclear. Michael is charged with murder and is held at the Franklin County Jail as the investigation into the matter continues. A Texas mother will spend the rest of her life behind bars after pleading guilty to capital murder in connection to the death of her 7-year-old bedridden daughter, whom she allegedly left at home alone with her younger siblings so she could go out partying more than 2 years ago. 26-year-old Lauren K. Dean admitted on Wednesday to murdering her daughter Jordan Barrera by failing to provide necessary medical care. She was also sentenced to an additional 20 years for 2 counts of abandonment and endangering a child. It's reported that on the 30th of January 2020, Lauren had left her 3 children, including a 7-year-old daughter who was bedridden due to medical conditions, home alone so she could spend the night at a Shades Club, located at 12th Street roughly 5 miles away. Jordan was reportedly diagnosed with Down syndrome and cerebral palsy and was non-verbal, required a feeding tube, and round-the-clock care. At 2:36 p.m. on the 31st of January, the authorities responded to conduct a welfare check at the family's second-floor apartment, located in the 2200 block of Bordeaux Drive in Bay City, Texas. Lauren had returned home by then and invited law enforcement inside to show her children were okay, but upon entering the apartment, officers located a deceased girl. A 5-year-old and a 3-month-old were also living at the residence and were removed from the home. Lauren was initially booked at the Matagorda County Jail on 3 separate second-degree felony charges of the abandonment and endangerment of a child, placing them in imminent danger of bodily injury. The mother was later charged with capital murder of a person under the age of 10. It's reported that Lauren pleaded guilty to avoid trial and the possibility of a death penalty. A man is accused of shooting a homeless family of 5, sleeping in their car and injuring a pregnant woman. On the 8th of October, the authorities arrested 21-year-old Christopher Stammet Jr. in connection with the shooting. The incident occurred at around 4:30 a.m. on the 5th of October in a parking lot of the 2200 block of Oregon Avenue in Tampa, Florida, across the road from the Martin Luther King Jr. Recreational Center. Christopher is charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of shooting into a vehicle, and is held without bond. Tampa Police Chief Mary O'Connor said that the police arrested Christopher earlier in the day on Saturday for felony possession of marijuana. After making bond for that arrest, Christopher was released. Police arrested him again later that afternoon after making the case for the shooting charge. The police said the father, who's in his 30s, saw another vehicle pull up and heard gunshots. He yelled for his wife, who's in her 20s, and their 3 young children to get down to avoid the bullets. The suspect allegedly fired more than a dozen shots before he sped off in his vehicle, heading southbound down North Oregon Avenue. The woman, who's pregnant, was shot in the head with a bullet and was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Her children, a 9-year-old girl, a 4-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old girl were uninjured in the shooting. Mary said that the mother is still in hospital recovering from her injuries, and the children are staying with family members in Florida. The family's been living in a rental car after recently moving back to Tampa after several months of living out of state, the police said. After the attack, the police bought the children McDonald's for breakfast and temporarily put the family up in a hotel. The authorities said they identified Christopher by tracing his 2012 BMW through surveillance footage from the scene, adding they found his car a day after the shooting in the garage of his girlfriend's home, about 3 miles from the scene of the shooting. After obtaining search warrants for Christopher's car and home, police said they found an empty gun box for a 9mm handgun and empty shell casings matching those found at the crime scene. Mary said that the door to the bedroom in Christopher's home where the shell casings were found requires his fingerprint identification to open the door, so there's no doubt the shell casings belong to him, she said. The investigator said that Christopher admitted that he was the only person who used his car recently, and that he was driving in the area of the crime on the morning of the shooting. The authorities said that Christopher did not provide a motive for the shooting, adding that he felt like people were stalking him and following him in cars, on bikes and walking, which his girlfriend also confirmed to police was something he believed. The authorities said that there's no indication of any connection between Christopher and the victims, indicating the shooting was a random attack. Mary said that the family had clothing covering the windows of the car and a visor blocking the view from the windscreen, making it unclear whether the perpetrator could see who they were. The investigation into the matter continues,